reduce, reuse, recycle for the next time. Like, who said it? Yeah, someone said like change your errors and things like that. Yeah. So if you have any problems, to change it. If anything wrong, change it and recycle and reuse. Make it ready for reuse next time because you're gonna forget about the feedback. You're gonna forget about your typos. Okay. So your structure. So here's my recommendation. Okay. So have a title. So this is kind of a system. Okay. So always have a title, have an agenda. In this agenda, I want after agenda have an introduction, the content, whatever is the content, have a conclusion. Okay. What is the takeaway? And references, some useful readings and some reports about the topic, and say thank you. Okay. And of course, have a question and answer session. Okay. Because people will have questions. So this is my recommendation. So try to stick with this one no matter what, no matter who's your audience, as long as you will have a PowerPoint, stick with this one, no matter what. This will organize your thoughts and you can add and, delete some of them, add more if you want, but have your own style. Okay, so this is my recommendation. So let's look at some ideas, okay? So have you heard 7 to 7 rule? So people say you gotta have 7 words and 7 lines in one PowerPoint. I try to stick with this one. This is for the attention and for the design purposes. 7 words in 1 line and 7 line. If you never heard about it, try to use this one. Very helpful. If you never heard the 1-to-1 rule, like 1 minute per slide, try to stick that one. If you have an interview of 30 minutes, if you have a presentation of 30 minutes, you might want to have 30 slides. But of course, you should also have a question and answer session. So you got to keep some time for that one as well. Abstain from mysterious shapes and figures like the smiley face in my title, right? All these things. Don't do that. Oh, also refrain unnecessary animation. Okay. Because people will be scared. Like they're watching their phone and stuff. And when there's a like big animation effect, they will say, oh, okay, what's happening, right? So don't disturb them. Avoid unrelated picture like the kids picture in my title, right? It doesn't really like, oh, yeah, that is because I'm teaching soft skills. I have the cotton there and the kid that I was talking about, and I can do all kinds of animations, unneeded, unnecessary. Choose a background that makes sense. Actually, I think it was Sarkar made this one, right? So sometimes companies have blue, green, or some countries have their flag colors or something, right? So you can choose that one, but I always prefer to try to white. White is always, it always works. Sometimes I see students doing like black, brown. I tell them like, it looks so pessimistic. Don't ever use like black, brown, pink, right? I mean, just keep it white, okay? So that's because really, when you are this side watching you as a presenter, it really disturbs our eyes, right? I always think about, okay, why? It's so pessimistic, right? I don't want to listen a brown background, right? Any pretext, we talk about them. Company colors, if it's internal, yeah, company colors. But if it's black, tell them, let's not use black. Okay, let's not use brown. Okay, sometimes, of course, you have to. Some companies, like, they have standards, I understand, but just talk to them, right? Yeah. Like this one. This is a real presentation, PowerPoint, right? So first of all, what is this title? Like, says introduction. I mean, what does that mean? Nothing. So a title should be catchy. And Ricky remembers this from the literature reviews, right? Ricky, I always say, hey, titles should be eye-catching, right? Drawing attention. Like, is this a title? Introduction. Like, that's not a title, right? and you have the car in the background, and I can't read it, and why do I have all this text? Remember 7 to 7, 7 line, 7 words, okay? And if you do things like that, like in the video, you're gonna be a slave of your PowerPoint. You wanna be a master of your PowerPoint. If you wrote this, if your audience will really read it like quickly, they're smart, and they're gonna ask, what do you mean by this, right? And then now the conversation will deviate from your message to their curiosity, and you'll be talking about some really like unplanned stuff, right? So you're gonna be slave of your PowerPoints. And remember, even though you tell me, hey, audience doesn't really need to read all of these things, I'm just gonna like focus on, I'm really like, my talk is really focusing on the primary components of the car. Well, then why are you including all others? Right? Just say primary components of the car and put a car name, car picture next to it, and that's it. And now you're not a slave, and people can't ask you questions because they don't have anything, right? They can only say, okay, what are the primary components? And you can tell, that's it. So now you can talk about anything you want. You don't have to memorize a text. You can just improvise. Okay? If you have any questions, you can always interrupt me, please. And in general, any task during the presentation, like I said, props, printouts, all these things, links, surveys to keep the attention going are really, really important. Never, ever, look, everybody's listening to me. I know it has been 50 minutes, but never, ever use more time than allocated. Right now, I have 61 students. If I use 1 more minute, and it's 61 times 1, which is 1 hour. So you gotta be respectful to everybody's time, right? Well, you can't say, hey, I have just 3 more slides. I'm gonna take another 5 minutes, please. No, a big no, okay? People will say, oh yeah, 5 minutes is okay. But then you're not respecting their time. Please, never, ever go over your allocated time and know your time. Like I said, physics, right? Tell your organizer, how many minutes do I have? 25, 20. Just plan accordingly, okay? Never, ever do that. Rehearse, rehearse, rehearse. I don't know how much, and some students already wrote in the chat, rehearse, rehearse, rehearse. Oh, did I already say rehearse? I guess I did. So always rehearse. And you are thinking now, well, why rehearse that much? Well, because most of the time you are a team, and you gotta rehearse it with the team. And if you don't show up, if the other team member don't show up, you gotta complete the whole presentation. So I recommend rehearsing the entire presentation, not only from 1 to 5 slides, right? Because if she doesn't show up for many reasons, if he doesn't show up for many reasons, you cannot just say the audience in a conference or in a sales, in a trade show or something. Well, I had the Deborah, but she was not here. I had the Ricky in my team, but he's not here. Well, doesn't make sense to audience, right? You are there to present the entire presentation. You cannot just say them, that was her job or his job. Okay, so rehearse, 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 and strategize for the risk management. Okay, if he doesn't show up, what happens? Proofread. That's good. And what is the, like, how much time should I allocate for the questions? 1/4. If someone give you 60 minutes, you have to prepare your presentation to 45 minutes and then 15 minutes for the questions. Okay. If you have 20 minutes, you got to present 15 minutes and you got to have 5 minutes for questions. Okay. In the beginning, I want you to say, like I say, you can interrupt me anytime for your questions, right? Well, in that case, you can make the Q&A a little bit shorter, but if sometimes presenter says, please wait until the question and answer session where I will answer all of your questions. Both is valid, whichever you feel comfortable. I usually feel comfortable like whenever my audience wants to interrupt me. Okay. So you gotta say it in the beginning if you want them to hold the questions at the end or not. Look at this one. This is also a real slide. Unbelievable, right? Unbelievable. Title page. I want you to have title slide, date, sponsor name, logo, catchy title. No typos allowed. I'm sorry for the typo there, right? No typos allowed. That's why you gotta proofread it, rehearse it. Your name, contact information is very, very important. Sometimes I see the contact information in every slide. No, just have it in the title slide. Because if you have it like your company logo, your contact information in every slide, then it distracts audience. They always look at that. Oh, does she have it in that slide? Oh, yes, she has. I wonder if she has the contact information in the next slide. And then when you open up the next slide, they say, there you go, she has it here. They're not listening to you. They're focusing on other things. Okay, so just have a plain slide, have an empty slide, no contact information, only in the title slide. Say clearly if it's confidential, if it's NATO secret, if it's top secret, if it's IP protected, whatever, right? And also note the conference name, event name, location, date, because you want to remember later. How about this one? So that's another slide, right? I mean, that's unbelievable. These are real slides that's presented. Agenda. I'm gonna go to agenda. Yeah, this is another slide. Community enlightenment. I don't know how much we're gonna enlighten, but yeah. Start strong, smile, and show confidence. We're gonna talk about the details next time. Introduce. What is the history? What is the definition, background? What's the known? What's the gap? Always start with like, what is it now? What is the background? Why are you there? What's the problem? What, right? Always start with that and tell them what you want to tell them, right? In the beginning, you're going to tell them, I'm going to make a presentation about that. And when you're presenting it, say, yeah, just say it what you want to tell them. You want to know your subject really well, which I also mentioned, like team of two presenting and he doesn't show up. What do? You have to practice before. Keep text short, 7-to-7 rule, right? So 1-to-1 rule, consistent font, colors, and bullets. Sometimes when we say bullets, they just copy the whole paragraph and put a bullet in the beginning. That's not what we mean, right? Bullet and a few words. Bullet and a few words. Not the whole paragraphs, but a bullet in the beginning, right? That's not what we mean. Oh, sorry for my animation again. I have to wait. Avoid flashy animations, okay? Don't do what I just did. Avoid flashy animations. It really distracts people. Be aware of your audience motivation. For example, I'm really happy with the motivation of this audience because you want to do something for your lives, you volunteered, you want to improve your professional skills, and you are here, right? So motivation is kind of top. Sometimes when I was in the military, they just say, hey, Ali, you're going this. Well, I don't want to go there. Like, it's not my expertise. Well, we need to send somebody. Okay. Now think about my motivation. Going there and listening to presenter, nothing. Zero motivation, right? I'm just there to fill in some seats. Okay. So motivation is really important. And repeat your key message. If you say one time, it's not enough. It's a key message. You got to repeat it. You got to repeat it, right? Like I said, rules, rehearsals, and avoid animations. And you already saw multiple times. I'm trying to convey this message to you. Copyrights are important. References are important, of course. If you are getting from someone else's work, idea, you got to cite them, right? And social business power map, that's a real PowerPoint as well, right? And sometimes people put out this and, well, it's not really important. I just want to focus today on standards. Well, then just show them this and tell them you can find this somewhere else and make another slide focusing in the standards. Instead of holding this on the screen all the time, show them this this is the general picture. And then now we're going to focus on the standards and make another slides about the standards, right? So it is there and people are not distracted. And my caveat for such slides is just referral, reference purposes. If you want them, you can learn about this like other domains like social enterprise, cloud, social web and stuff. Here's a slide with all the links, right? That's my caveat. You can have this slide for that purpose, for them to read it later, right? But if you want to talk about this slide in the standards section, just have another slide for standards, okay? No typos allowed. I'm sorry, my typo here. Okay, maybe one or no. I say only one typo throughout this presentation, because if you have two, then people will look at it and try to find the third one and the fourth one. They will always try to find the typos. Okay, so one is okay, two is not okay. That's why you gotta check. Less text, check it, get it proofread, okay? Use bullets, like I said, properly to remember the main points and not to be a slave for the PowerPoint. Be ready to summarize in 1-2 slides. What do you think that one is? Let's get some experience. Have you ever summarized the whole presentation in 1-2 slides? I have a lot of experience for this one, because sometimes like you are in a meeting, you are the fifth one to present, and people before you present budget, present ops, present maintenance, and they took time, a little bit of time, a little bit of time, and then now you have only 2 minutes, and your boss will go for another meeting, and she says, "Hey, Ahmed, I have 2 minutes. What do you want to tell me?" You cannot just tell him like, "Okay, no, I have 10 slides. These are really important. You gotta listen to me." Well, he has to go. So what is the one slide or two that you want to show him in this 2 minutes? Because it happens. I want you to prepare yourself before that. If I have 2 minutes, which slides I want to show? Well, if you don't have any slide, make an extra slide. And if he tells you, "Hey, I have 2 minutes," what do you, and tell them, "Okay, we're gonna go to extra slides, backup slides, and this is the slide," right? You have to create one if you don't have. If one of your slides is not enough, any one of your slides is not enough, please create another one for just these cases, okay? And your colleagues will say, "Oh, she's really prepared," right? You're gonna look really professional. Backup slides, yeah. And look at this one, like in the video, right? Unbelievable. I'm sorry, check the animations if copying slides. I think I copied my slide and it kind of veered in the order, right? If you're copying your slides from other PowerPoint presentations to reuse purposes, which I really support, just check the animations, okay? Effective version control, don't bring your older version. That's why I always keep my, for example, let's see my file here. Look, I think you can read it, right? Session 2, version 3. So I'm creating slides just for this audience. So that's my version 3. So make sure you bring the correct version, okay? If you are using acronyms, say it first, okay? So ASU, right? What's ASU? Arizona State University, right? It can be Arkansas State University as well, right? You never know. So always use the first time in the open form, long form, and then use acronyms, okay? Yeah, the animations. Okay, my trouble today. How rivers are formed. That title is good, but other than that, nothing is good. Okay. Conclusion. Tell them what you told them. What is the summary? What's the solution? What's the conclude, right? What's your key message? Repeat your key message. Proposal, call to action. Okay, now what, right? Now what? What do I need to do? If it's a conference, nobody needs to do anything. If it's a corporate meeting, maybe there are some assignments for people and departments that you want to say here clearly. Deborah from quality department, we're gonna do this that time. Ricky from project management office will do this that time, right? You're gonna write clearly call for action. What is expected? What are the tasks, right? You wanna write them in the conclusion. Oh my, Afghanistan stable. That's a real slide too. People do these things, which my only caveat again, if you want to inform them, but you're not going to talk about this one, right? It's just the reference purposes. If you want them to print out and study later, that's fine. But other than that, shouldn't talk on this one. Okay. Takeaway, what are 3 things to remember in your in your presentation? What should they bring home? What should they bring office, right? That's why I said in the beginning, what did you do about your soft skills? Did you do anything really? Like, because I want you to do one thing, practice. What did you do to practice, right? What is the message that you want them to receive? How are they gonna follow up? Did you give them email? Did you give them your booking link? Most of the companies have some, links to book some appointments with salesperson or things like that. What is the mean to follow up, right? What is the contact information? Is it okay to call you? Do you have a number, or is it email, or is it Slack? What do you want to do, right? Tell them clearly. And references, of course. IT modernization roadmap, right? You know my caveat about this one. So what's our takeaway? We have 1 more minute. Think from a systems perspective, okay? So what is 3 things? Physics, audience, content, okay? Always think about this. Remember the phases. Not only when you say hello to presenter, to audience, pre, post, and after some time, okay? Get it proofread, rehearse with the team, with the same situations. Like if I'm doing this over Zoom, I should not rehearse like in my computer without Zoom, right? Be positive and engaging, which we will talk about more next week. Be confident, know how to use the software, always follow up. Well, it's not easy as it seems, okay? One thing before you leave, and I'm gonna stay here if we'll talk about more if you need it or if you have any individual questions, but your slides shouldn't make sense without you, okay? Because you are the presenter, not the PowerPoint. So I'm just concluding with my first slide. You are the presenter, not the PowerPoint, okay? Here are my references, and thank you.